Yesterday, we talked about story problems that only needed one step to solve it. Now we're gonna talk about story problems that need 2 steps to solve it. So we need to be a little bit more organized with our setup, okay? So I'm gonna ask you to make a list of the important information. So the things that we underline, we're also gonna write out in a list, okay? It is important that you define your variable, okay? You can use X every time. You can use N for number of students. You can use D for donuts. I don't care what letter you use, but you need to label your variable. There were a couple times in 6th hour where somebody tried to label our answer in money, but we were talking about people, okay? So make sure you label what your variable is. That way, when you get to the answer, you know what you found, okay? Now, there's going to be 3 numbers that we need to deal with. One number is going to be by itself on one side of the equal sign. Then there's going to be a number that's like a one-time number, like a fee, or this cost me this for this just one time. That number is going to be our constant. But then we're also going to have a number that represents something happening multiple times. That number is going to be the coefficient of your variable. That number is going to go in front of your letter. Okay? Once you set up the equation, you're going to solve it. Make sure your answer is reasonable. Like if I'm asking you for the number of donuts and you get -2, I don't think that that makes sense. -2 donuts, Hey, and leave it alone. Make sure you label your answer. Okay, so let's talk about number 1. Jamie rented a canoe while she was on vacation. All right, that means that doesn't matter. Okay, she paid $85 for a flat rental fee. Is that important? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to underline and then I'm going to write that she had an $85 fee. Is that something that she pays one time or multiple times? Just one time. Okay. Plus $7.50 each day.
Oh, what?
That's important. I'm going to write it down. Okay. Her total cost was $130. Is that important? Okay. For how many days did she rent the canoe? Kaden, what are we trying to find? Okay, so what letter should we use? Okay, we want to use C, and that represents days she rented the canoe. There is only one letter I would encourage you not to use. O. Because it looks like a 0. But any other letter is perfectly fine. Okay, so when I look at these 3 numbers, I need to use these 3 numbers and C to write an equation. So what number would be the number that would be all by itself on one side of the equal sign? Okay, why 130, Emma? Okay, it's the total cost. That's going to be like, okay, that's the amount that she paid. Everything else has to equal up to 130. Okay. Now with the other 2 numbers, one of them is going to go with X and one of them is not going to go with X. So which one of them is like just the one time? 85. Okay. So we have 85 is the one time fee. And then we're going to add $7.50 each day. Well, times Well, do we know how many days?
No, I mean, just like hypothetically, Tuesday, Tuesday.
Okay, so instead of times 6, what are we gonna use? Okay, in this case, we already wrote C. So 750 times C represents 750 per day. Oops, the pass. Okay. So another way of saying 750 each day would be like 750 per day. And remember, per is one of those words that we use for multiplication. So we take 750 per day.
What?
So 750 times C
Per day.
plus 85 of the one time C equals our total. Kayla, are you okay with that equation? Well, I heard you say I'm so lost. That was not you?
Just a little. You said you so. No, I'm so lost.
Okay. No. Before you stretch. You're okay with this? Okay? Okay. So, Kale, what number do we need to move first to get C by itself? And how are we going to undo 85? We are going to subtract 85 from both sides. Now, this is something I need to make sure that you do. The 85s undo each other, but please write 7.50C. I know it's already there, but rewrite it. It is still on the left side of our equation. Write it. Write your equal sign on the fence. 130 minus 85 is what?
45.
45. Okay. So now we have 7.5 times C equals 45. Oh man, you read my mind. We need to divide both sides by 750 to get C by itself. Thank you, Mr. Calculator Man.
45 divided by
6. Cool. Okay, if you give me only 6, I am not giving you full credit. You were, but hold on, Jacob. Can you tell me what does C stand for? Okay, so when I give you our answer, we better write 6 days.
How do you know this is day?
Because we said that C represents days.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'm so smart.
You know how long I waited for your high five? Okay, read through number 2 and underline the important information. Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't go to the bathroom.
That's okay.
Water.
Can you put my water to in? She's not even in the freaking bed. She don't have nobody customers.
Okay. Jacob, what's one thing you underlined?
The first number,
Okay.
$50.
So, okay, so she has a $50 budget is what he said. Is that a good way of saying that? They have $50. You have $50, okay? Laney, what's something else that's important? All right, tickets are $7 each. Okay. I wish that tickets for the movie was really $7. This is true, but on non-Tuesday nights,
Like 13.
and it's
Or
ridiculous.
13 for like the lunch, like the big swing.
All right, Allie, what's another number that's important? All right, good, $20 for concessions. All right. Marco, what's the question we're trying to answer? How many tickets? So Caesar, I'll let you choose a letter. What letter do you want to choose? To represent the number of tickets. What's a letter? T. All right, T. Caesar chose T for the number of tickets that we can buy. Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
How do we know where to put like, I don't know, it's like the outdoors and side or like.
So if you wrote like 50 equals and I wrote blah, blah, blah equals 50, it's not gonna matter. We're still gonna get this. So, like in the problem that we had over here, if we wrote 130 equals 7.50 C plus 85, we would still get the answer of C equals 6. Okay, so I don't want you to worry too much about that. What matters is what's on the side of the equal sign should go together no matter what. Okay. Like, Kanaya, what number needs to be by itself?
Wait, what?
What number needs to be like all by itself, like it equals this much? Okay, $50 needs to be all by itself, because that's like our total that we have. Okay, now we need to figure out what goes on the other side. What number needs to be attached to T? $7 per ticket. $7 times the number of tickets. And are we adding or subtracting 20? We are adding 20. I'm spending $7 per ticket and I'm spending $20 on concessions.
Oh, whoa.
Hey.
son.
Okay. Wait, okay, so some of you are kind of working ahead and noticing something kind of strange. Okay, so let's all catch up to where Emma's confusion is lying. Alexander, what number do we need to move first? How? So we need to minus 20 from both sides. Please make sure that you still bring down the 7T. The 20s cancel. And on the right side, we have 30. So I need you to see that you have this equation here, 7T equals 30. I know, right? Hey. Okay. Cash, how do we get T by itself if we have 7 times T? We need to divide by 7. Now, some of you are panicking because 30 is not divisible by 7.
Why'd you make it so spaced out?
I'm sorry. I was just trying to, I don't know.
Oh my goodness, bro, I'm like, gonna go eat.
Okay, so, but is it money?
Yes. Well, the price of the tickets. Why is your album going back?
It doesn't represent money. Okay, so, all right, you guys, I really need you to be quiet so we can talk about this together. Okay. Jacob, you have a calculator. What's 30 divided by 7?
4.2857144.
4.2.
8571442.
Okay. So I wrote a bunch of decimals just to be obnoxious. What does C represent? T represents the number of tickets. Good thing I wrote it down because we might have been tricked that it represented something else.
It would be 4 tickets because you can't have 0.2 of it.
Okay, can we buy 0.2857 of a ticket? No. So we can only buy 4 tickets. Okay, we cannot buy 0.28 of a ticket. Now, if this represented money, we could round to 4.29, but this doesn't represent money. We said that T represented the number of tickets. So we can only buy 4 tickets. But hey, you know what? We're not gonna have to do all 9 problems. So just like slow your roll. Okay, we're gonna do number 3 together. And then I'm gonna give you some work time. All right. Annie's water heater went out in her house. She calls to have it repaired. None of that is important. The plumber charges a $75 fee. Let's write that down. And $20 per hour. She paid a total of $180. Why are there conversations happening right now? Austin. Okay. Madison, what are we trying to find? Okay, how long? And if I'm saying how long, what are we referring to? Hours. Okay, so how long? So let's see. Sophie, pick a letter. H. Okay. Write the equation. Write the equation that you think represents this information. If it's wrong, we'll fix it.
Miss Woman, I feel so weird. That's not right.
Did you clean everything? Okay. All right, Reagan, what's your equation? Can I ask you why you picked minus? Okay, so since we're adding time, we're gonna add it in our equation, but then when we solve it, we can do inverse operations. Does that make sense, Reagan? Okay, so did some of you write 28 plus 75? Right now? But isn't this a plus 75? Okay, we're not solving it yet. Okay, we're just writing it. Okay, so if you wrote 28 plus 75 equals 180, that means the same thing. Okay, that means the same thing. 20 per hour, so that's the number that we multiply to X, or H, excuse me. So Emma, you are right. The first thing we need to do is subtract 75. It's 105, so 28 equals 105. Oh, up here. Why?
Yeah.
Why is your pen? Go get it. Peyton, can you give him back his pencil, please? Okay. Austin, how do we get H by itself? How is 20 tied to H? What operation is in between 20 and H?
Multiplication.
So how do we undo multiplication? Austin, how do we undo multiplication? All right. Jacob, 105 divided by 20. Okay, can we have a decimal if our H represents hours? You betcha we can. So our answer is 5.25. Can you please just hold on and ask a question when I'm done talking? 5.25 hours. That's what H represents. Now, why can hours be a decimal? Kale? Okay, because we have minutes. Okay, so 5.25 hours, which really means what?
5 hours and 25 minutes.
5 hours and
30 minutes.
25
Second.
15 minutes. It's a quarter. A quarter of an hour would be 15 minutes, but it's okay.
You know,